as predicted, and actually a little bit sooner than I thought. I kind of forgot the existence of the winter arc. I was really waiting for the New Year's resolutioner kind of crowd to come around. But like I've seen fucking well, I've got a bit more of an eye for it now that I'm always posting all this kind of social media stuff and whatever else. But dude, like fucking clockwork. End of the year comes around, guys. 3 months left. Let's make this shit fucking happen. Or it's well, that just sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, what happened to the other 9 months? What happened to those other nine, dude? Like, it's you need to. This is something I don't really hear perpetuated a lot, and there's a momentum to making gains, which is probably one of the most important fucking factors of anything. If somebody had insane workouts 1 month straight, let's say they even tracked the calories, everything else, and then they took a full month off and just did whatever they wanted, skipped out on the training, well, that would still be better than somebody who did zero training at all, right? So maybe I need to think about this analogy a little more. But in the context of like fat loss or bulking up, to lock in for just a single month will be completely counteracted by, well, it'll definitely be counteracted by a month off. But even something like dieting down, like if you're in a deficit, if you're tracking all your calories, maybe you hired a coach to give you a meal plan, and you're like, okay, I'm sticking to this. You're losing pounds upon pounds per week. Well, maybe 2 pounds a week for like a month straight. Wow, this is going great. And then one weekend you go crazy and you eat like 4,000 calories each day, or maybe upwards of even five, which, I mean, that is a lot of food. But don't forget, even a smaller dude, if you're on a real deficit for a while, what that means is your appetite is like kind of building. You're like, oh, dude, I'm so fucking hungry. Right? So even if on a normal day you might only want to eat 3,000 calories, now that you've been dieting for 2 weeks, dude, I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of to just fucking slam 6,000. Because your body, let's imagine you've got basically a gas tank in all of your fucking muscle cells of glycogen, right? Sugar water. If you're running on empty, dude, you're not going to feel that hunger fade until you're really fucking full. And then you just completely ruined 3 weeks of dieting with one weekend of going nuts. So that's where, I mean, guys who I would imagine are a bit more locked in already are kind of dogging on everybody where they're like, okay, winter arc, now let's start to lock in. Which inherently, there's absolutely nothing wrong with. Like, I think the fact that there's multiple times per year, New Year's, this kind of winter arc sort of thing, pre-spring break, pre-summer, before everybody's running around like going, outside shirtless to kind of get lean and everything else. Like, I like that these time periods of motivation exist because they get people amped, they get people excited, right? It's a nice catalyst to stimulate some gains onward in the future. What the only issue I have is the percentage that actually make it through and ride that momentum and continue it for long terms, well, just long periods of fucking time. It's so small, and maybe I'm overinflating it because, of course, every year there's new lifters, so that means there's however many. I mean, fuck, how many new lifters do you think start up every year? Millions. So that can contribute to a lot of these posts where guys are like, all right, winter 2024, you won't even fucking recognize me in January. So obviously no dogging on them. The only people that I think need to maybe have a little bit of a more serious self-reflection are when they've been making these posts every fucking 3 months, every 6 months for the last couple of years. We're like, dude, I'm gonna lock in this bulk, man. I'm gonna seriously grow. And then all that ends up happening is the guy goes to McDonald's a couple extra times a week, but doesn't track anything else and makes zero gains. Or the guys where they're like, okay, I'm gonna get fucking diced this summer. And then as soon as he does like maybe 1 or 2 days of a deficit and he starts to feel a little smaller, feel a little weaker, he just instantly gives up. He's like, ah, screw that, man. I don't want to starve myself. I mean, come on. And dude, there's a word for people like that, which fits pretty fucking well. Right? It's called being a goddamn poser. Right? Anybody can buy a fucking stringer and some baggy sweats and throw some Converse on, or some Vans if you're, if you swing that way, and get a gym membership and start lifting weights. That doesn't make you a serious fucking lifter, man. And notice how I don't say that you have to be big to be serious. That is definitely not the fucking case. When I see guys in the gym, which it's a little bit more rare now, but like if I see a crazy set of something, like lots of weight, whatever else, or like just a huge dude, and I see him doing a set where maybe it's a little bit fluffier, which, depending on the situation, is not always a bad thing. Every set in somebody's training, as you get more and more advanced, doesn't have to be a fucking, kill yourself, blood spewing out of your nose, near death experience, especially if somebody's dieting. I mean, when I'm peeling down, I'm still going to train hard, of course, but I don't need so much kind of crazy load. So there are situations where you can't just judge somebody's training by what their sets intensities kind of look like. But what I was trying to get at was, if I see, somebody who I'd categorize as just younger dude, more beginnerish, maybe, right, fucking 18, 17, whatever, and he's actually going nuts. And I think I've got a good kind of a detector for it. But it's like if I see a real failure set of leg press, or a real failure set of like preacher curls or push downs or whatever, and they've got somebody else spotting them, giving them some fucking assisted reps too, dude, that is sick. That's what I fucking want to see. And that's where the equalizer of kind of respect in the gym is so nice, because it's not about how far you've already come. I feel it's more so about what kind of trajectory you're putting yourself on, which, of course, outside the gym is going to have a lot to do with that. You're going to want to make sure you're eating right and getting enough calories and drinking your water, having your jugs with all your electrolyte packets floating around. But inside of the gym, training intensity, I think, is usually a pretty good correlator to outside the gym discipline too, right? If somebody wants to make most of their sets in the gym as crazy and fucking sweet as possible, then what are they going to do? They're going to try to optimize everything outside of the gym that comes into play with that preparation. I'm not going to be able to do an insane set of whatever if the night before I got jack shit for sleep because I stayed up too late, didn't drink enough water, barely ate any meals. It just wouldn't happen. So that's where the training combined with that outside of the gym sort of setup, with your sleep, with your hydration, with your calorie intake, and everything else, that's what really matters. So if you take one side out of the equation, everything will just kind of crumble down. Now, that's not to say you need to be a total nut and track every gram of carbs that you eat every day to an exact T. But over time, leaning towards that side of specificness about your outside of the gym shit will improve your gains. Right? You'll actually eat enough food. You won't be just doing guesswork about if you're hitting your calories or whatever else. But as 2 years, 3 years, hit your protein, right? Drink enough water, and then eat enough food where you can feel recovered from your training, dude. Main gaining is the way to go. There's no point doing an absolutely insane bulk in your first year of training. At least, for most people, I take that by a case basis. But that's kind of my thought process there. So if you know a couple of guys at your school or at your job or wherever else, where they're talking about how they're gonna fucking lock it in this winter, and you're locked in, just watch and see what happens, because the odds are against them. And well, I say more often. Well, let's just look at the numbers. How packed is your gym in January versus how packed is your gym in August? That's all I'm trying to say there. So, plan for today. Decided to add another light one of shoulders, just because we had a little bit of a travel fiasco. Nothing serious, but like flight kind of delays. So my sleep is definitely not on point. So I think it's going to be better for me to save a real good leg day for tomorrow with proper rest and food intake. But for a good little shoulder day tonight, that'll be perfect. Side delts, rear delts, really no need for front delts. So this is lift wise, this will be a bit of a quick one. But I gotta make sure all my fucking gears are turning in these shoulders too, every so often, even if they are a bit advanced compared to the rest of my build so far. But let's just go throw some shit around, pose down, and head back and eat. Not a lot of rear delt shit felt good. First, I tried my tried and true one arm face pull with the cable. Didn't love it. Reverse pec deck felt like shit. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes that's just kind of the case. But bent over dumbbell lateral raises, obviously rear delt focused. These feel all right. So let's just start with the 40s. Yeah. Oh, let's move on. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That was good. Let's spam that exactly 2 more times. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go in a controlled manner. Absolutely nuts with the 40s. Okay. That was solid. Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. Oh, starting to use a little too much side delts. Or no, a little too much traps. All right, it's actually fucking the minute of closing. Got caught doing a little chatting. Let's see how shoulders look. Even with just a reasonably moderate couple sets, dude, I feel. Oh, who cares how I fucking feel? Just look how they look. Oh my goodness. So that's what I'm aiming for. Like, see how there's not only this shadow on the front of my shoulder, but also creeping over the back above my tricep. That's what separates somebody who has really kind of actual rounded over pump delts versus somebody without them. And they especially show up in like a rear lat spread, if you see what I'm saying there. But let's not hold up these guys any longer. Scram. Nice little shoulder activation. Get some lubrication in those rotator cuff kind of joints, whatever else. they still just fucking burn even sitting here. The fact that I don't hit them very often, they're not if they're not really used to being trained too hard. That's like skipping chest for a month and then coming back and doing a hard day of like cable flies and presses. You're gonna feel that. But when it comes to those who are thinking about locking in, the idea is at the forefront of their mind for the next couple of months. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? And of course, this would be the Sam method, right? This would be the tips and the things that I would think to focus on, which I've kind of fallen into over the last couple of however many years, and I've definitely seen some gains wise improvements. Now, of course, it translates to just your fucking whole life as well, I think. But I'd say number one, you got to change your value system. How much time do you spend thinking about watching or potentially even being included in negligible he said drama gossip arguments which are really they just mean nothing. All right, that's what I'm talking about. If you're I guess I can't really get into it any deeper than that. You would know. All right, but if you've got more than like an hour, or I mean depending on how long something like that's going on, if you're like spending hours upon hours per day really getting involved with just nonsense, all that really tells me is all you're concerned with is nonsense, right? It doesn't feel like that. I mean, that's why reality TV and all of these like streamer houses are so fucking entertaining because it feels like you're involved, you're watching this beef go down, but it's nothing. Right? This shit is fucking nothing. You've got your own stuff that you should be doing, even just on a day by day, fucking like do your laundry type basis. Where if you get behind on that, how do you expect to make anything cool happen? So that's where if you've got some serious beef with some of your, well, let's just say friends in quotes, like your friend group, or have all sorts of drama or whatever, or they're taking away from time that you want to spend doing something else, or you finish hanging out, or you guys go out a lot, and then once you're actually back to your house, you realize like, oh fuck, God, I just wasted all night, and it's gonna cut into tomorrow because we're not gonna get any sleep. Oh jeez, and that's something you can cut out, So I guess step one, try to cut out some nonsense. Step two, I would say try to start thinking about what you're thinking about. I did a whole talk about this either yesterday or a few days ago, right? It's kind of a controlling your thoughts kind of situation, right? Don't let yourself get upset by the minutest details of just whatever, and that kind of speaks for itself, right? Don't cry over spilled milk. Look at it as simply a situation like, okay, I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna move on. Not gonna dwell on it. And then when it comes to so those are two big ones. If you can eliminate at least an hour or two of nonsense wasted time during your days, like just going to somebody's house and just sitting there talking or doing nothing, just sitting on your phone. I mean, I see that a lot. There'll be guys where they're hanging out, but they're really all just doing group phone time. I'm like, what's going on here? You know? But take that by case basis, right? I don't mean try to cut off all your fucking friends. If you're kind of in a negative sort of surrounding, and try to pull yourself out of that. And then when it comes to the thought side of things, right, keep in mind what you want to do, right? If you want to write a day by day kind of checklist, honestly, those work really well. I like having some of those. A little bit more mental though. It's like I got cardio, food, workout, drink enough water every day. Those are some of the big fucking three for me. And then beyond that, once those two things are in place, then it's going to be much easier for you to have a consistent workout schedule, right? You're taking a little bit more control over your own time on a day by day basis. So you don't have to worry about, okay, what's going on Friday night? Am I going to be able to make time for a workout? Oh, I should skip it. Like balance your social with your private. But the more effort that you can get done in private, the better. And even in more of a shallow kind of way, If you grind in private, you get to show off in public. And if that's something that you really want to do, if your end goal isn't like you just want to make gains, it's like you want to be able to show off your gains, then the same thing is true. No matter what your motivation is, you still got to grind on your own, right? When it's just you, whatever night or day, and you got to go hit a crazy leg day. So, apart from those two things, at least try to start tracking your calories, man. I'm not saying you need to make sure you hit exactly to a T 213 grams of protein, 79 grams of fats, and 462 grams of carbs per day. And, if you miss it, then you should fucking, kneel before the squat rack and flail yourself a few times for fucking up. I'm not saying that's serious, but the guys who make real fucking gains, they track their protein, they track their carbs, they track their fats, they know how much food they're eating. They're getting a reasonable amount of good kind of quality food in as well. When I'm dieting down, treats basically disappear because it's not conducive with dieting. If I have a treat or if I have some Reese's cups when I'm dieting down, like I could count those into my macros, and sometimes I do if I want to have a little something to satiate my sweet tooth. But for the most part, it just doesn't work. I'm going to be hungry later. It's going to throw my blood sugar all sorts of wonky kind of ways. When I'm dieting, it's much more satiating foods. But even bulking up now, I'm noticing some serious benefits from probably 70% cleaner eating, and then 30% kind of, I'll have some sweets here. Not as crazy as I have in the past, and I'm seeing the results. We're already 10 pounds up from, or actually more like 12 pounds up from my previous bulking personal record. So I'd say just try to start tracking your protein first. Right? Make sure you hit your 100 however many grams per day, and then drink your let me think. I don't think you need a full gallon every day, but it kind of depends on your weight. So if I'm 250, if I'm 270, I'm trying to drink probably at least 4 liters. So if you're more like a 190, 180, get 3 liters a day, and it's not that hard. Slam one with an electrolyte right when you wake up. Drink one just throughout the day with your meals. I usually have a full liter with my pre-workout, so I know I've got enough fluids flowing around. And then when I get back home and eat whatever I'm going to eat for dinner, I'm going to have another liter of some like electrolyte or some amino drink there too. And it just kind of falls into place. But tracking your protein in terms of the calorie tracking side of things is usually step one, which people can get into pretty seriously. Protein equals muscle. It's a very classic Jim Bro approach. Right? People don't. Takes a little longer to understand the benefit of fluctuating your carb intake, being all pumped up. Managing your fats, not getting too many. Whatever kind of saturated versus unsaturated. I forget whatever value ratio I'm kind of aiming for, but it's kind of daunting, right? It's a big fucking process to go from just kind of eating whatever you feel like to eating more specifically, but it's not wasted effort because you're eating specifically for specific outcomes, which if you do it for long enough, you'll actually start to get. I think the hardest part about someone going from not tracking their shit to tracking it is they're putting in a lot of work. They're counting stuff, they're putting stuff on the scale, but you're not going to really notice the benefits for like at least a month. Now, once you do, you'll say, oh shit, what have I been doing? Why haven't I been doing this before? I'm having a way better workouts because I'm fucking fueled up for them. But that's a month of basically doing something with no result. That is a little bit of a hard sell sometimes. So, apart from those three things, if you actually want to get big, usually the training intensity will fall in line. And the reason I say intensity specifically is that's really the biggest fucking value which people should be aiming for. The guys who are making the best gains, they live through the most intensity. And I don't mean they're benching 1,000,000 pounds for 3. I mean even when they do a set of lateral raises or a set of curls or pushdowns, like they really push it until they physically can't. Right? They're going to failure or at least near failure, and they're not lying to themselves about it. because they know the harder I train, the better results and stimulus I'm going to give myself. So when I go home and eat, my body already has a serious instinctual, not instinctual, but just kind of physiological reaction to that training to say, all right, I need to use this extra energy and these extra calories, these extra building blocks to repair this muscle bigger and a touch stronger. So, don't, I think people correlate intensity with weight, which I don't say that like I haven't done that before. In my mind, for basically as long as I've been working out until the last couple of months, it's always okay. I want to be bigger. I want to be stronger. I need more weight. I need more. Where I'm getting more of a grasp, like, dude, I don't have to fucking do a push down with the stack and 4 plates slapped on the side. I mean, in some instances, pushing yourself to that level of like, heft on some sets, I think is necessary, just to keep your training nice and varied. But for the most part, dude, picking a medium or like a moderate weight, squeezing crazy hard, and taking it to failure with more of kind of a stretched kind of focus, depending on the movement, that's going to be just as good, if not better. You're not going to get any stronger from doing a 1 rep max. I mean, you might get some central nervous system like exposure to that much exertion, but physically, dude, I'm not inclined to think you're get jack from doing a 1 rep set. The magic is in that it's in that 8 and above. Like if I pick a weight where I get below 8, I basically immediately turn that into a drop set and pick some lighter weight just because I don't feel like that's enough. And it is, if you do a set of 7 to failure versus a set of 8 to failure, it's going to be about right. But from what I've kind of experienced, for me, dipping below 8 reps on any given movement, like I can only do 8 reps with that weight, that's the danger zone. So I always aim for, well, actually, the last few months, most of my working sets are more like the 15 set kind of range. Depends on the movement. Like, squats are a little bit more like 10, or some leg press too. I've been bouncing around more like 10 to 12. But a lot of bench, pull downs, curls and stuff, that's getting up in like the 12 to 15. So I just like I was saying before about exercise selection, don't freak out too bad about your rep scheme either. Right. Make sure to bounce around, do some maybe higher rep sets, upward to 20-ish, and some lower, heavier sets around 8 to 12. But across the board, as long as you go hard and you're not lying about it, you're good. So that's my 2 cents for the guys who say they want to be locked in. So take with that what you will. Of course, I know you guys have your own, like these guys have their own kind of motivational uh, values, I guess, where they've got some kind of itch they want to scratch with the training that they want to get into. But I'm not joking, man. I really just hate to see I hate to see the fall off. I hate to see. I want to do it. I'm getting into it. I'm doing all the right stuff. Momentum lost, and then it's just another guy who, is going to say like, "Yeah, I worked out for a while in college." Whatever. It's like, dude, you got to keep it up. But that's a little easier for me to say. I'm already kind of, geez, I'm more than ankle deep in the water of the fucking gym. I'm fully submerged at this point. But that's my shtick. That's my shtick there. So now, go home, eat, sleep, and then legs tomorrow. Fully rested, fully fed, nasty leg day tomorrow. So I'll see you for that.